Okay, so many people are talking about data and complaining about it because I guess their states are getting destroyed or something like that by data companies. Here's my opinion. Okay, if we didn't have data, we wouldn't be able to be talking right now. If we didn't have data, we wouldn't be able to call people on the phones or text them or have technology in hospitals or wherever people's jobs are. We wouldn't be able to communicate. We wouldn't be able to find where we need to go. So all these people want to say, oh, let's go back to, how it was 20, 30 years ago, not being able to have what we have now. I don't agree with, companies like demolishing people's homes. That's wrong, first of all. I don't like Bill Gates. He's not the one that created technology, okay? He didn't. Technology has been around for centuries. In fact, it comes from rose quartz. Actually, people looked and learned about that. You know, you can't keep banning everything. Why don't you go to their buildings and protest and tell them how you feel instead of being going online, which you are using technology, by the way. You are using data because how is your internet coming through? How you being on YouTube? How you being on Spotify? How you being on anything? How you getting like being able to have conversations with people? And I know some of you are going to get pissed off at me because you're going to say, oh, well, in my state, they're destroying lands and stuff like that. They're destroying everything. In my state, they're not. Not all states are going through that. They're not. So why are you going to, be up and roar and scare everybody when it's not happening to everybody? Yeah, I'm sorry it's happening where you're at. I really am. But just because a lot of you, there's some of us, there's probably more of us that agree with me that if you didn't have the technology you have now, you wouldn't be able to communicate about nothing. You want to go back to landline phones where people were harassing you, calling you 24/7, and there was no way to block them? Ah, there's technology there. Did you know that? Did you know landline phones actually need those phone companies that you're talking about? Did you know that? In order to have your internet, you have to have those companies give you that data. Did you know that, like hospitals, they use different technologies to try saving people's lives, right? And you guys bitch and complain about the government. Well, you know what? You wouldn't have food stamps. You wouldn't have Medicaid. You wouldn't have Medicare. You wouldn't have Social Security if it wasn't for the government. The one that's running our country, he's destroying shit, okay? He's murdering innocent people. He's taking people's rights away, especially women's rights. Taking away the LGBTQ community's rights. Taking away black and brown people's rights. Trying to say that Mexicans are coming over here illegally when they're part of, North America. He's talking shit about Canada, which they're part of North America. He's talking about Guatemala, Brazil, and everything else, like South America. They're part of America too. He's talking about Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States, by the way, I believe. Didn't he say he was going to go see their president? So, yes, I don't agree about Bill Gates. I can't stand him, okay? I can't. But he has nothing to do with the technology we have. Where do we get our technology from? It's from rose quartz. So you want to complain about, okay, we need to get rid of those data companies and this and that. So how are we supposed to call 911 when we need somebody to come and help us? How are we supposed to get a hold of people when we're working or not working, or how are we supposed to get a hold of people that are far away? How are we supposed to get our mail without data? How are we supposed to get packages without data? Do you guys think about those things before you react? Just because somebody says, oh my gosh, they're putting these right here. I could say that. I could say they're putting phone towers right next to our home. Wait a minute. They're further away. They're not exactly right parked in front of my home and my husband's home and our kids' home. Yeah, there's a few of them around us because so we can have the internet, we can have our phones working. So anybody that's on a phone right now that has to be an Android or an iPhone, you're using technology. You're using data. It's not just phones and computers that are using data. Did you know cars use it too? They use technology. How do you think your GPS works in your car? How does your electronics work in your car? How do you have Sirius radio? And pretty soon they're going to take over our lives, right? Yeah, if you allow it. If you sit back and let them and say, hey, there's nothing I can do about it. You see how there's thousands, probably millions of people protesting against Trump again, and yet he's getting rid of a lot of people, right? He's getting rid of a lot of shit that people need. But instead of focusing on this, the whole data thing, do you realize you saying get rid of that data is also trying to get rid of what happened to those people with Jeffrey Epstein and Trumpkin, or still going on? How are we supposed to find out information if we don't have that data? How are you supposed to watch TV? How are you supposed to watch movies and listen to music and stuff like that? A lot of our stuff is from data. Computer data. And without it, there was only, a few DJs on a station? Not everybody had that radio station. Not everybody can make up their own minds. They had to listen to what everybody else was playing on the damn radio. We couldn't make decisions on what type of music, what type of movies, when to watch them, when we didn't want to watch them, when did we want to listen to it, when we didn't. Our clothes. I bet you a lot of you order clothes online. A lot of you order toys, right? A lot of you order kids' toys, what I mean is. Or whatever. You order stuff online from AliExpress, Temu, Walmart, Amazon. And you want to get rid of data centers, really? Do you want to know what it would be like if you got rid of all that? Think about it. There's a lot of people in schools that use data to find out information about past histories. And, there's technology that's used in making movies and TV shows and music and kids shows, or, there's so many things that technology is used for, like cars, making clothes, jewelry. There's all kinds of technology, and you need to be more specific on what technology you're talking about. Because if you're talking about like just getting rid of, I'm afraid of robots and this and that, you're using a robot every day when you're on your damn computer. You're using a robot every time you're on your phone. So how about this? You get rid of your phones, you get rid of your computers. Don't be on YouTube or Spotify or wherever else, Twitter, Facebook. Don't be on those platforms anymore. Don't. Because there's a lot of people that are on YouTube that talk and talk and talk and talk. And they all have their opinions, and so do I. They have that right to do that. But to actually frighten people and scare them and say, well, this is what's coming to the world. You don't know what's going to happen. Are you a psychic? Do you know what's going to happen tomorrow? Do you? But instead, some people are sitting back letting kids get assaulted, whatever age they are. And in certain states, they have 13-year-olds marrying grown men. Not in my state. You'd be arrested if you were in my state for doing that. That's against the law. That's disgusting, marrying a 13-year-old when you're a grown ass man. Even if you're a woman and you try marrying a 13, 14-year-old, really? Maybe people need to pay attention more to that. And if aliens started coming down here, which a lot of people have had sightings, they've had, and it's been known, they've been around for centuries. I don't know what's going on. You probably don't either. I mean, if I saw an alien, whatever they look like, and they asked me a question like, so, how you doing? You want to chill? I'd be like, okay, fine, let's chill out. Instead of scaring people. Nobody knows what the afterlife is like. Nobody knows what we're going to be like in the future. Unless you're psychic. If you actually know and you've been there. I mean, do we all know what's on the other side? No. It's just what people's beliefs are. Do we know what Jesus was like back in the day? No. It's because of what some people's beliefs are. Because of what they've been told. Did you know the Bible was written 200 years after Jesus? Do we know exactly when he was born? No. And it's kind of interesting how the years went backwards, and all of a sudden, this particular child, he changed years to go forwards. How do you know we're not all going backwards? We don't. We don't even know where we actually came from. And a lot of people are going to have opinions about that too. That's their right. I'm not going to say no to them. That's your right for believing what you want to believe. I have every right to believe what I want to believe. I have every right to do what I want to do in my life. I have every right to be on a computer. I have every right to be on my phone. But nobody else has the right to tell me what I can and cannot do. And I have made a comment about that. I don't agree with some people saying, oh my gosh, there's these data buildings that are being built in every state and they're destroying every state. No, they're not. Maybe you guys should just go to their buildings and tell them, like I said, why didn't you stand up against these people? Why didn't you ask them what the hell is going on? All of a sudden, because Bill Gates was on those, Jeffrey Epstein files, you turn on him and say, well, it's the data that's destroying us. I saw that video of the girl pointing at, oh, my home's being destroyed. Her home's still there. Did you notice in that video that those black things that she was pointing to are not towers? Aren't towers supposed to be those big metal things and stuff like that? I know what they look like. And then she goes to somebody else saying, well, isn't your land being destroyed too? This chick had a nice fucking pool in her backyard. She did. And her home's being destroyed? When somebody's phone actually gets destroyed, let me know, because then I want to see the pictures of it. I've done different videos on different things. And this one, I just wanted to say. Somebody made a comment, and I agree with them totally. Like, I guess they will be getting lost without a GPS, right? We have to go back to reading maps on paper. Do you know how hard it is for somebody to read those maps? They're not easy. And those maps are so fucking old that they don't even show exactly every place that's in the United States because they're old. And they keep repeating the same thing. They keep, printing the same thing over and over again. Do they realize that certain lands actually do change? They build stuff and they change the streets and stuff like that at times. Not all the time. I mean, I mean, do we actually know what some of the streets are? I mean, it's confusing. I mean, if I was me and my family, me and my husband were supposed to go out of state, and we didn't have a GPS, we didn't have a way to get there. We would just have to follow along with a piece of paper. That gets flown out of the window, right? Because sometimes that does happen. Those maps do fly out the window. Or sometimes they get ripped, or stuff gets spilt on them. And most important, a lot of people don't know how to read them. There's even people that are blind that can't even see them. There's people with learning disabilities that can't even understand them. So you're going to take stuff away that helps people that do have disabilities and they don't understand. And people that are blind, different things, right? So when you think about trying to ban those companies that have data that's coming out of there, I guess you're not going to be on YouTube anymore. You're not going to have this, you're not going to have internet anymore. You're not going to have your phones. Because a lot of the landline phones are becoming extinct. Because a lot of people want to hold their phones in their hands. And you're going to take that away from them in case they have an emergency. I mean, can you imagine if you're trying to call 911 and there's no data on that phone? And then somebody is like, well, call from my landline. Oh, wait. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. How many people died back in the day without no phones? Because they had to call 911. There was no 911. I guess you might as well get rid of 911, right? You might as well get rid of the police department. You might as well get rid of everything, right? And if you have family in the military and they're overseas, how are you supposed to be in contact with them? You can't. I'm not saying I agree with people trying to destroy people's lands. I'm not. I don't agree with that. I don't even like Bill Gates. So I'm straight up saying that. So don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. I do not agree with what some people are saying about trying to ban these companies with data. It's not just data. Do you know what data is? Do you realize it helps us every day in life? So you want to get rid of the internet and all this other stuff? Do you realize you're going to get rid of stuff in hospitals too? So your family member's supposed to die right in front of you without being able to call 911, or if they go to the hospital and there's nothing, there's no technology, nothing that would save their life. Nothing. Not even the medicines that they need that have to be ordered. Because they have to use the phone, right? They have to use data. See, if our daughter Mariah was still here, and there was no way for her to get her medicines or even call 911, do you think we would have wanted her to suffer like that? She had Ewing sarcoma cancer. She was 19 years old and she died. Because why? There's no cure for Ewing sarcoma cancer. And people want to worry about other things. That's why I mentioned the Jeffrey Epstein files. People want to tend to forget about that, right? No, a lot of us aren't. This isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. This is a human rights thing. And for Trumpkin to say he's going to take away funding because there's LGBTQ people in schools, take away food and Medicaid and everything else. Do you realize people are born that way? Yes, the LGBTQ community, they are born that way. It's a known fact. It's a known effing fact. You cannot change somebody because of what they're born as. And I would like to say to the LGBTQ community, I am sorry you're going through all this hurt and pain because of what you guys are fighting for and have fought for centuries. I mean, some people think automatically, oh my gosh, suddenly you just became that way. No, you didn't suddenly just become that way. You were born that way. I got family members that are part of that same community. And I respect them and I love them. There's also Trumpian wants to try to get rid of Black history. Well, you can't get rid of that. You can't really get rid of brown history either, right? Remember slavery? That existed. It still does. I mean, how many Black and brown people actually do construction and work out in the fields more than some white people? Do you realize there are more serial killers that are white than there are Black and brown? Have you noticed that? Like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, Charles Manson. Yes, there have been a few women. There have been. I've watched Deadly Women. I do. In fact, I like Candace DeLong. I mean, I think she's great. That show is good because you get to learn a lot. I think people should watch those ID channels. I mean, they'll learn a lot about different things. I mean, if it wasn't for technology like data, a lot of people wouldn't have found out why their family members were missing or what happened to them. Data is used for different things. Technology has been around for centuries. Look it up. Yeah, some people are going to call me names. I don't care. I really don't. Me and my husband and our other 3 kids have gone through so much in the last couple of years. And our daughter Mariah, she went through hell. All these kids that have gone through cancer, whatever illnesses they have, they go through hell every day. They don't understand what they're going through. And it doesn't matter what age your child is, and you see them sick, and there's nothing you can do about it. It makes you angry. Because you feel like it's your fault, when it's not. Why aren't they putting in money for cures instead of fighting wars? Oh, now we have to bomb like Iran for what? What the hell do their people do? They're human beings just like us. There's a lot of us that are human beings around the world. Twice? And then before that was Venezuela? What the hell do those people do? Swim? Be on a boat? And then talking about Bad Bunny? Like, do you know how many Latinos are around the world? There's more Latinos than there are any other culture, really. That I know of. I don't know. And there's a lot of Africans. You know that Egypt is part of Africa? I didn't realize that until Cat Williams mentioned that. And I looked it up. I was like, that's interesting. Wasn't taught in school about that, unless I didn't pay attention. But it is. I mean, there's so many countries that are part of Africa. And then you got Australia. It's another continent. Because there's, 6 continents? America is 3 parts, okay? Get this in your head. North, South, Central, okay? Then you got Africa. Then you got Australia. Then you got Asia. And Europe. What's the other one? Because I'm forgetting. Anybody that knows that, I would love to know. Because I always forget that one. But in the United States, a lot of people seem to think we're the only Americans. We're not. The United States is not the only country that is American. North, South, Central, America. Okay? And there's different countries a part of America. The United States is one of them. Mexico's another. Canada's another. Should I go into the South America too? Guatemala, Brazil. And you got Central, isn't it? El Salvador. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. And then Trumpkin wants everybody to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Okay, so you admit that Mexico's part of America, because it is. Congratulations, Mexico. They just admitted you're part of America too. About damn time, because you know what? I always thought you were anyways, because you're next door. You're attached. So is Canada. What is Trumpkin so jealous of Canada that because they're happy people that he's jealous of Mexico? You know, because they all have good food. People, you know, like they're creative, and if it wasn't for other countries, the United States would starve. Where do you think we get all our stuff from? Food, clothes, electronics, cars, um, equipment for different things. You gotta think about it, like jewelry. I mean, you know, if you have something against Latinos, then don't buy their stuff. Don't go to their restaurants. If you don't like Canada so much, then don't buy French food. Don't have them, you know, they do. Mexico and Canada actually help us with food and clothes and you know, electronics and cars and uh, there's doctors, there's you know where I'm getting at with this, right? And then there's other countries beyond. Do you realize we get stuff from other countries beyond us too? Like, well, you know what? I don't care what people say about me. I really don't. All I know is I am not um gonna let other people dictate my life or my husband's life or his life because you know it's not gonna happen. Look, I use a phone, okay? I use my phone, okay? As a box on it. Yeah. See it? Don't. I don't wanna get rid of my phone. I'm not going to. I'm sorry, you know, people's lives are being ruined because you know, but when you go on like a channel or something like that, and you say, "Wow, look at all these buildings being built, this and that. They're building this underneath." Have you been in there? I mean, do you actually know what's inside? No, you don't, because they're not going to let you in. I mean, or do they? I mean, you're going to make a lot of people lose their jobs. You're going to make a lot of people not being able to be in contact with their loved ones or need help if they need to go in the hospital or get to find where they need to go. Or talk to people long distances. Or even fly in airplanes. What about all those packages you get that are from other countries and, you know, post office people that have to use data just to list what you need to order or, you know, have returned to you or, you know, sent to your family members or friends? I think a lot of people are trying to either figure out something else to not watch about what's important, what's going on in our country and around the world, like the Jeffrey Epstein files. I'm not going to stop talking about that because it's not going to happen. And In my state, they don't fund ICE at all. If other states actually followed along, and and I saw in Minnesota what happened to all these people, how come their governor's not doing that? How come he's not standing up to Trumpkin, but yet he wants to get along with him? I think it's time you guys need a new governor. Because you don't have to fund them. They don't have to be in your state. They're not even allowed in ours. They're not. They're not. So, it just makes me wonder why Minnesota, I'm not saying the people in general, I'm just saying, how come, like, at some hotels, they're allowed to stay there? And then you see people protesting for them to get the hell out. Isn't that your governor's responsibility to get them out? I mean, obviously he doesn't care. Well, he talked to Trumpkin, and Trumpkin's going to lay off, and blah, blah, blah. Not really. You're going to believe somebody that's murdered people already, that actually assaulted people. You're going to believe that. People have been saying this for years. I know, because he was an entertainer on TV. He's not an entrepreneur. His dad gave him like $1 million to start his business, which failed. He failed in 6 businesses. And now he wants to take over an island that belongs to these people who've been there for centuries. And what is it? Albania? I mean, how many people have actually talked about Albania until now? Okay, let me explain something to you, okay? If you're supporting Trumpkin and his family, they don't give 2 craps about you. Especially if you're poor, they don't care. And you voted for him? Why? Because he makes promises he can't keep when he's destroying the rest of the world? And his daughter has a nerve to stand there and say, well, me and my husband are doing this, and my father's so great. She's so programmed. She's so brainwashed. She's been brainwashed since she was little. I mean, his first ex-wife even said he hurt her. Now, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but he beat her and did other things to her. And then after she came out with a book, suddenly she fell down the stairs. He's not here anymore. When she stood up to him, especially when he cheated on her with his second ex-wife, and then he cheated on her. I mean, come on, follow along, people. There's a train going on here. There's the same thing that happens over and over again with him. Do you realize every time somebody interviews people that are with him, they say the same thing? And when you ask them a different question, they're like, well, Trumpkin's the greatest president ever, and he would never hurt anybody. And as far as concerned, I'm going to blame Joe Biden for this. Or I'm going to blame Barack Obama. Or I'm going to blame Michelle Obama. Or better yet, Kamala Harris, who really wasn't elected as president. How many times did Elon Muskrat mention that he helped Trumpkin win that election? He put his own money into it. $1 billion. Hello. And then when Trumpkin won the first time, cheated, Russia helped him then too. And now you guys want to believe everything he says. Follow along. And then you want to follow along with other people. Like, maybe people should actually look into what's going on instead of trying to scare the world about things. Like I said, there's phone towers that are around where I live, and they're not destroying our homes. It actually helped a lot of us because before, phone lines actually weren't working too good. So Whoever watches this and disagrees with me, that's on you, not me. But I'm not saying I agree with people's homes being destroyed. That's totally wrong. But are you really hating on data because of Bill Gates? Or are you just hating on it because that's what's happening in a few states? Is their homes are being destroyed like that? Because if you're hating on like data and stuff like that, which has been around for centuries, which Bill Gates had nothing to do with, seriously, you would not have your phones, anything, if it wasn't for data. You wouldn't even know what's going on without data. Do you realize centuries ago, how did they communicate? That was a sort of data, wasn't it? They wrote it on paper. So when you say let's get rid of data outright, no pencils, no pens, nothing. Let's go back to where we couldn't even communicate with people and how we didn't even know what was going on with other people. See, we wouldn't even be knowing what's going on right now. Right now. And, there's good and bad in everything. But in order to change that, you need to make it better and use it in a good way, not a bad way. And if people are thinking that our country, or especially like our country, right? It's kind of funny in other countries they're thriving with robots and stuff. Look at China and they do. I mean, their technology is way better than the United States because we're so back assward. Quit being afraid of stuff. Like, yeah, it's okay to be afraid of things. There's a lot of things that people are afraid of, and it's understandable. But I'm talking about like technology itself. Shouldn't we see what happens first before judging? And don't knock people because they're using technology because you're doing it too. I mean, I bet you that oxygen tank that was created for you so you can breathe, it's part of technology, right? There's data, information that has to be kept because to make sure it's yours. And so you can call your doctor or call whoever. It's just funny how suddenly people are complaining about data all of a sudden because of Bill Gates. When you guys think he created it all, when he didn't. I mean, if it wasn't for rose quartz, we wouldn't have technology. You think Tesla created technology? No, he didn't. He found rose quartz and created some freaking tall thing that made electricity. Where did electricity come from? You think we created that? Where did we get all our ideas from? How do we know how to make phones and stuff? Makes you wonder with that Area 51, doesn't it? I mean, our own people get shot at wanting to know what's in there. I mean, obviously they're hiding something, right? How come nobody really asked more about that? Oh, wait, there's a lot of people questioning that lately. I'm wondering myself because if we actually paid attention to certain things instead of like worrying about other things, like, yes, there are people's homes being destroyed. Yeah, there are. Not everybody's. With different things. But when I saw those videos of this chick saying, oh, look, and this person, and she has a nice pool, and they're going to take over her pool and stuff like that, where are they? How come they're not in her backyard destroying it? I can make a video, like I said, and say that my home's being destroyed, and it's not. I can go outside right now and chop down a tree and say that somebody did it. I mean, it just seems like kind of weird how somebody shows a video. Oh, wow, this person's home is being destroyed. They're going to take over her swimming pool. Don't you think there would be people back there doing that as she's filming? Why didn't she film that? That didn't make sense to me. Like the whole Britney Spears thing, all these videos of her, that's not her. Seriously, it's not. I mean, if you look back to her interviews years ago, all she said was, I want them to leave me alone. How do you know she's not? Either she's hiding, or people are keeping her captive, or, I hate to say this, she's probably not here anymore. Or, that is her and she's acting nuts. It's kind of funny how TMZ only has blurry pictures of her and can't show an actual front view of her. Like, why is it a side view? Have you noticed those videos of her? Like 1 minute it shows her in a shirt and a skirt or something. She's not even wearing a trench coat. And then she's wearing a different colored hat. Then they show another video of the cops like supposedly taking her where she needs to go, right, to the police station or whatever. She's wearing a trench coat and different hats. How is it that she's wearing like a skirt or something or whatever she was wearing and a shirt, no jacket? She had no jacket on her. And the hat was different colored. And then when they supposedly take her to the police station, she's wearing a trench coat and different colored hats. How the hell does she have time to go and get a jacket on and a different hat when she didn't even have it in her hands? By the way, Britney Spears' skin tone was not white. Did you notice that? Have you noticed when you actually seen her, like in interviews, like an actual interview of her skin tone's a little tan? Or if you look back on the Mickey Mouse Club, her skin tone is a little tan, right? It's not white. Why is her skin so white? I'm not saying she's not a white person. I'm just saying her skin tone. Okay, white is a different shade of color, okay? I'm not talking about cultures and stuff like that. I'm talking about her skin tone. And she's skinnier than skinny. She's twiggy. Have you noticed? 1 minute she's twiggy, 1 minute she's like thick. I hope she's okay. I really do. But if TMZ can get a clear picture of Justin Timberlake, don't you think they would get a clear view of her? I mean, I can't always believe what TMZ says. I don't believe she did a DUI. I don't believe what they're saying about her. I don't. Because the last time somebody actually saw her on stage was 2019. The last time somebody actually heard her voice, hers, was a recording and not actually seeing her in court. Now, I know sometimes they keep people out of the courtroom. That's understandable. But you actually heard her voice. And a lot of times when you hear somebody, that person, I'm going to say, talk supposedly like her, it's not her. Look back in interviews of her and then listen to those people that are talking. Look at her face. Yeah, people's faces do change over time. People's teeth change. But they can't go back and forth with her teeth, do they? I mean, first her teeth were like straight and perfect. Anyways, think about it.